20 killed in Kano crash involving sports festival contingent. Niger flood death toll hits 151. Katsina 6 WAEC English paper cancellation. And the foreign saying Turkey arrests dozens of opposition members among detainees. Good evening, this is News Update on Trust TV. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. Thank you for joining us. We'll start on a sad note. At least 20 people have been confirmed dead following a ghastly auto crash involving members of the Kano State contingent returning from the just concluded National Sports Festival in Ogun State. The tragic incident occurred on Saturday in Dakaseli town, about 50 kilometers from Kano, as the team was approaching the final stretch of their journey home. Those who lost their lives in the crash include athletes, a journalist, medical personnel, and sports administrators, according to preliminary reports from emergency responders and eyewitnesses. Details of the cause of the accident remain sketchy at the time of filing this report, but authorities have confirmed that emergency response teams were swiftly deployed to the scene and the injured were taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. The chairman, Kano chapter of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, Swan Zeridin Sali, confirmed the incident. He said those that were dead include the public relations officer of Kano Sports Commission and referred to journalists attached to Express Radio and an online medium.
Kano State Commission.
Now joining us live from Kano to give us some updates is Abdulaziz Ibrahim. Good evening, Abdulaziz. Thank you for joining us on News Update this evening.
Good evening.
It's quite a very sad situation that we found ourselves in. However, could you give us an update on the situation report on what's happening, especially how did the crash happen?
Okay, well, it's the contingent of both athletes and officials that attended the National Sports Festival held in Ogun State. And they were on their way back, and we can tell you that out of the 5 buses that came into Kano today, 4 of them had already come into Kano. And the bus which was involved in the accident was the last bus, carrying an estimated 30 people. And from my discussions with the first respondents there when I visited the site, I met some VIO officials still there, and the incident happened at around 11 a.m. But what they said was that for those of them who have market stores on the top side of the road, because the bus actually fell deep within under the bridge. On the top side of the road, the people I spoke to there at the Yankifi area at Dakaseli there, they said the car didn't collide with any other, the bus didn't collide with any other car or any other vehicle, that it keyed off the bridge and fell within that area, and that was how the accident happened. So some of them are saying that they are guessing that either there was a fault in the vehicle or the driver must have maybe fallen asleep. Many of them were saying just different things and guessing, but nobody can actually say for now what caused the accident, including the VIO officials and those who are there to inspect the vehicle, the tires and all that.
Away from the vehicle conveying the sports contingent, were there other vehicles involved in this accident?
There was no other vehicle. There was no other vehicle. As those people who own different type of stores on the top side of the road there was no other vehicle. Just it was only the bus that was involved in the accident, and there were skid marks on the bridge before it's at the point where it fell and landed. And okay. It was actually a terrible crash anyway.
Oh, yeah, from the pictures and videos we are saying, it's quite a very terrible situation. Have you been able to speak to survivors? Have you been to the hospital to speak to the injured and survivors of this crash?
No, as we speak, we are on our way there, because we have just left the Dakatalu area where we're able to interview a number of people. But from the report that we got from the hospital is that we have up to 21 people that are confirmed dead. Earlier at the Kura hospital, later some of them were taken to the Murtala hospital, but the survivors right now are presently receiving treatment for various degrees of injuries at the Nasarawa hospital here in Kano. But for those of them who lost their lives, they have, of course, been released to their family, even at this point, and some of them have been buried. So at the hospital, we can tell you that there's still some of them that are receiving treatment, even though we've not been able to talk to any of them yet.
Okay, just before you go, Abdulaziz, can you give us an exact number of the people that were dead and those that survived? You know, the people, you said 30 people were in the bus, so how many people died?
Yes. It's an estimated 30 people.
Okay, estimated.
Estimated 30 people, I can tell you. But among those who died, we have, because since this was the last bus that was coming, it mainly had a number of officials on the bus. So the athletes that were there were only athletes of kickboxing and dambe. I'm sure that they were athletes. The others, we can confirm to you that the secretary of the basketball association here, Bashir Yagaya, was on the bus, and then we have the PRO of the Sports Commission, and also a member of the Sports Writers Association in Kano here, Bilal, who is with a local radio station here and also an online platform. He was also a part of those who lost their lives. And among the others, we have other sports association secretaries and some medical personnel also who are part of the people on the board.
Okay, thank you.
We can confirm to you that 21 people.
21 people lost their lives?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. It's quite a very sad way to end the Nigerian National Sports Festival, and it's actually a big loss to the sports community. Hopefully we'll circle back with you in subsequent bulletins to give us more information.
Okay.
May their souls rest in peace. From there we move to Niger State, where the Emergency Management Agency has announced that the death toll from Thursday's devastating flood in Mokwa, the headquarters of Mokwa local government area, has risen to 151. This follows the recovery of 36 additional bodies 2 days after the incident. Speaking on Saturday, the Director General of Nsema, Abdullahi Baba Ara, said 11 people were injured and 3,018 others displaced by the flood. Ara further stated that the 503 households across 265 houses in 3 communities were affected by the disaster, adding that 2 roads and 2 bridges were completely washed away. Trust TV had earlier reported how many residents of Mokwa town were swept away in their sleep on Thursday night after torrential rainfall lasted for several hours. Now joining us from Niger State at this time is Abubaka Ako, giving us an update on this situation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Akote. Thank you for joining us on News Hour tonight.
Good evening.
This death toll now stands at 151. But prior to now, I'm sure that the NIMET has given quite a lot of information out there saying there's going to be flooding. Was this area not part of the areas that those alerts were given for?
Mokwa has been one of the local governments that have been severely hit by flood. The local government only escape it every year. The complaint from the local farmers that they don't receive information from NIMET. Recently, one of the youth leaders raised concern that predictions, information about predictions by NIMET are usually passed through mainstream media, especially television, and most of those farmers have no access to those gadgets to receive information. Neither do they have access to other newspapers. Radio remains one of the major source of information to those communities. So the problem, the challenge has been that they hardly get receive such information from the appropriate authority through the right channels. So they have recently complained about that. that information needs to get across, or the NAME should begin to engage community associations to pass information to their people.
Now, we understand that over 3,000 people have been displaced and entire households have been destroyed. Have you been able to speak to these survivors to, get first-hand information from them and how they are somehow surviving in the interim?
This evening, some of these survivors are not, some of them have left IDP camps, and NSEMA has also confirmed that to me, that some of them prefer staying with their relatives whose houses were not affected because of the condition of the camp in terms of feeding and the proper accommodation. We are in rainy season now. The mosquitoes and the rest of them, and such support, especially provision of mosquito nets, have not been adequately provided. What donors are focusing on now is food that they will eat in the primary school where some of them are staying.
Okay, now just before we go now, who are the people on ground in aiding this assistance? The federal government, the state government, international agencies?
Right now, officials of Niger State Emergency Management Agency, and then also NEMA, where they are currently on ground, and some volunteers from community associations, and the rest of them are currently on ground. I would like to also inform you that this evening I learned from Niger State Emergency Management Agency that somewhere far away from Mokwa, a village called Kanji, about 21 dead bodies were swept to that area, and it has been communicated to SEMA, and they are working to see how they will be buried in that axis, because it will be difficult to move those bodies out of the water to a far place now, because some of them have started decomposing, haven't been in the water for the past 3 days.
Akoto, if I understand you correctly, you're saying away from the ones that were found, another 21 is going to be added to the 151, making it 172?
Yes, SEMA just confirmed to me that those villagers reported that 21 dead bodies were found on water close to their village, and they have contacted the community leader, and community leader at the same time contacted SEMA, and SEMA is working to dispatch their officials to that village. But the plan is that they are going to bury them there, because it will not be convenient in moving them back to Mokwa, because some of them have started decomposing.
Thank you so much, Akoto, for that update.
Yeah, thank you.
Over in Kano State, the government on Saturday called for the cancellation of the English language examination recently conducted by the West African Examination Council. The call followed an incident that led to the commencement of the examination several hours behind the scheduled time nationwide on Wednesday. The position of the state was announced in Katsina by Hajiya Zainab Musa Musawa, the Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, during a visit to the WAEC office in the state. The news agency of Niger reports that the position was based on a petition signed by Hajiya Ahmed, the permanent secretary of the ministry. NAN recalls that WAEC blamed the situation on heightened efforts to curb examination malpractice, particularly the leakage of question papers. Musa Musawa also called on schools, parents and the communities to exercise patience and wait for the outcome of the petition. A shadow government or cabinet in a democracy like the United Kingdom, which operates a parliamentary system, consists of opposition elements who mirror the role of cabinet members and offer alternative policy options. In Nigeria, however, the concept has generated controversy at national and sub-national levels, sparking a sharp division among the political divide. Ahmed Dati sends this report is presented in our studios.
Opinions were sharply divided in Kano in February this year, when the opposition APC unveiled plans to form a shadow cabinet to checkmate the NNPP-led administration. Events took a dramatic twist in May when the Department of State Services (DSS) threatened to arrest a former ADC presidential candidate, Professor Pat Utomi, over alleged shadow government plans against the ruling APC. A public affairs commentator, Abdullah Yusuf, said, though not legally recognizable, the shadow government conforms with democratic norms.
Although we are in a democracy, we are operating a presidential system of government that does not allow or does not guarantee the formation of a shadow government. But democracy being what it is, when I saw the calls, when I read about them, I said, yes, at least we are getting somewhere. Probably it could be kind of a preparation or a panacea or a platform for agitation for a parliamentary system of government.
A Kano-based legal practitioner, Abubaka Ako, says no legal provision is made for the shadow government.
Nigeria is operated through the constitution. Therefore, the issue of shadow government is an illegality. In fact, it is akin to treason. It's a treasonable offense because it's like a coup against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And all those found involved should face the full wrath of the law so that such action should not be reported by anybody.
The civil society activist Isiaku Ahmed also believes that opposition political parties are the only viable alternative platforms in the country.
What would put government in check is not a shadow government. It's a strong opposition. The opposition that has an ideology, that has a framework, that has a blueprint for a country or for a particular people or for a cause that is pushing. For instance, if you look in the UK, we have the Labour Party, we have the Conservatives. These are political parties, or if you like, in the United States of America. You either belong to one, and wherever you are, we know what the ideologies you stand for. We know your principles. But here, what is the principle of your friend in APC or my brother in PDP or his brother in LP? We only know they are political parties.
Many argued that freedom of association and expression guaranteed by the Constitution gives legitimacy to alternative views in whatever form. Ahmad Datti, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Federal Capital Territory Water Board has announced that there will be disruption to water supply in the nation's capital in the next 2 weeks. The board, in a statement, alerted its customers within and outside the city centre that due to the ongoing rehabilitation works of the water treatment plant at Lower Usuma Dam, there would be disruption of water supply to both city centre and the outskirts. The board said the rehabilitation work would pave way for the connection of the electromechanical equipment of its treatment plants, which is a major component of the rehabilitation work. The disruption, according to the board, started on Friday, May 30 and would run till Friday, June 13. In view of this development, the FCT Water Board has appealed to residents, particularly its customers, to kindly store water that may last them for this period, including an alternative supply to augment their need. In Nigeria's local government system, councillors serve as elected representatives that play a vital role in the legislative arm. Their duties include lawmaking, executive oversight, and ensuring transparency and good governance at the grassroots level. However, their effectiveness is often constrained by limited autonomy, inadequate funding, and political interference, factors that have led to their contributions being underrated and often overlooked. In this report, Noel Sampson explores the crucial roles of councillors, gathering insights from elected officials, political scientists, and analysts.
In Nigeria, local government councillors are tasked with presenting their wards, bridging the gap between communities and the council, and actively participating in local policy making. They are also responsible for ensuring that councils carry out their statutory duties while adhering to the National Code of Conduct for councillors. These roles underscore their significance within the governance structure.
In every election, grassroots players are the most important. Whoever you are, from wherever you come, you must go down to the grassroots level. So we are the leaders as grassroots. The masses, traditional rulers, community heads, and followers have confidence in us. We are the one that like a source of their whatever the development information to them.
They are the grassroots politicians. They are the ones that will just go indoor, house to house campaign or politics. They are the closest politicians to the to the people.
The local government is supposed to be the grassroots level of government, which is the most important in terms of development. But the reality of today is that the local government, legislative council in most of our local governments is actually redundant. Most of them are not effective. In fact, almost all of them are not effective.
Basically, I mean, local government councillors ideally are supposed to be the closest elected officers to the people because they are chosen from the ward level.
Insufficient or poorly managed financial resources have over time hindered the ability of councillors to function effectively. A lack of funds enough to prevent councils from executing vital services, projects, and community programs. Hence, many believe the recent autonomy granted local government will address the anomaly and engender greater efficiency.
But I think finance is very instrumental to anything at all we're looking at, any form of development we're looking at. And as relates to the performance of the Legislative Council also, because that's where they can get their finances for capacity building and all of those. But most importantly, we need to look at the quality of the individuals we are electing to those people.
You can't talk about local effectiveness of the councillors, the local government system, without first talking about the issue of corruption. Because, you know, like I said, whatever is hampering their effectiveness at the moment, even if you give them autonomy, it's still going to be their hampering effectiveness.
The federal government would assign every chairman to open an account directly to the CBN, from CBN. So if you see that, by the grace of God, by next year, January, everything will be all right.
With financial autonomy at the local government level, stakeholders say the third tier of government is now better empowered to deliver democratic dividends to the local populace. No, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
On the foreign scene, Turkish authorities have ordered the arrest of dozens of people facing corruption allegations, including opposition party members in Istanbul and the city of Adana. The Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office issued detention orders for 47 people and detained 30. Others detained included local municipal mayors and Istanbul officials. The operation is the fifth wave of arrests against the government's political opponents, starting with the jailing of Istanbul's mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, regarded as President Tayyip Erdogan's main rival in March. Turkey's government has rejected claims of political interference, insisting the judiciary is independent. İmamoğlu sent a letter from prison to an opposition rally on Saturday saying it is time to say enough is enough to this unjust and unlawful order. In sports, the Yimba Football Club of Aba have confirmed that players of the People's Elephant have been granted an end-of-season break with 10th June set as the resumption date. The sporting director of the 9-time NPFL title winners, Ifeanyi Ekweme, said the players will regroup in two batches, with the first batch hitting camp on 10th June. The second batch, the former Nigerian international revealed, will return a week later, 17th June. This comes as the ex-Polonia Warsaw Poland midfielder also disclosed that the second edition of the annual Kano Under-19 tournament will kick off next week with 12 teams taking part. Ayimba finished the 2024-2025 campaign in 6th position with 55 points. He further disclosed that the second edition of the annual Kano Under-19 football tournament for Imo and Anambra State will get underway next week. Liverpool have signed Jeremy Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen. The English Premier League champions announced on Friday no fee or length of contract was disclosed, but British media reports said Frimpong had arrived at Anfield on a 5-year deal worth €35 million, equivalent to £29.5 million. News of Frimpong's signing came just hours after Liverpool confirmed Trent Alexander-Arnold will be joining Real Madrid in time to play in the Club World Cup. Frimpong appears to be a ready-made replacement for England fullback Alexander-Arnold, with Liverpool activating the 24-year-old Dutch international's release clause. He was a key figure as Leverkusen won their first Bundesliga title in 2023 and 2024 and made 53 appearances in all competitions as they finished second this season. Frimpong, however, will have competition at right back from Northern Ireland defender Colonel Bradley, who recently signed a new 4-year contract with Liverpool. That concludes news updates at this time. For more of our news programs, documentaries, do want to follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. and Chiamaka Nwafo. Thank you for joining us at this time. Good evening.